digital agent or public school student.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Hillary?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Me? Aye. We are in executive session and we'll return in just a little bit. to call this board meeting to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second that.
So we approve the agenda as is.
Correct.
Celebrations and, all in favor, excuse me?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, celebrations and communications.
Chairperson Nixon and members of the board, there's just a communication in there that you have, that's it for tonight.
All right,
So, keeping it simple.
okay. Do I have a motion that we approve the consent agenda?
I would like to remove number 8, the lift station, from the consent agenda.
Now, do I need a second for that?
I will second to remove the number 8 lift station and approve the consent agenda as is with removal.
Okay. Since that's different, do I have another second on that?
I second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Kirsty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Hillary?
Aye.
Kim? Aye. All right,
So then do we need to discuss this?
I think so.
Okay. The
Let's
reason
go
I
for it.
pulled it out is because there's just one bed and I'd like to have two.
No, trustee Lowe's 100% right. There was only one bid. This was a project that Kevin was trying to get done before he was finished. The second and hopefully third bid did not come in time. Our lift station, just so those of you that don't know, that it takes our bathroom down the line to the main sewer. One pump is out. We've got quite a bit of rust, and it was a project that we were waiting, because we're probably gonna have to shut down our bathroom while we do this, hopefully before it's shut down because we can't use it. The plumber that we got the bid from is the one we typically use, especially for emergencies. At this time, things are still working, but I can definitely come back with 2 bids if you would rather wait for July.
What if we make a motion, giving you the leeway to move forward as long as you get another bid that's reasonable? Can we do that? I'm gonna make a motion that allows you to move forward with this project as long as we get another bid that's within this amount or close to.
Could you say like within $1,000 or something like that?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
So
I mean,
that-
this is an estimate, so it's probably like a time and materials estimate, so it's probably not really even $15,000 of a bid, it's just,
It cannot
Their
go over,
best-
it can't go over that.
can't go over the 15,000, so.
I just wanna make that motion so that you guys have the leeway to move forward with it and have some autonomy to get it done.
I would second a motion.
Your motion is, do you want to state it? Is
I
that?
did.
Okay.
I-
Did
I
you
would-
get that?
Yeah.
Okay, as long as she got it, I'm good. And you'll second that?
Yes.
All right. And in favor, Kirsty?
Aye.
Michael? JD?
Aye.
Hillary?
Aye.
And I'm aye. All right. All right. So, consent agenda has been approved for the lift out. Do we have any delegations tonight? There should be a paper.
Nobody's looking.
I think so. All right, at this time, we will see the delegations and hear from them. Just a few things I want to go over with the delegations. First, understand that we cannot make any comments or ask you any questions, that we are here to listen, and we do want to take that opportunity to do that. So I just want you to realize that due to open meeting laws, there won't be any comments or questions asked, but we will be listening.
Or decision.
Or decisions made. Anything else?
What would you ask? No comments from the crowd.
Yeah. Trustee Lowe would like to make sure that you guys are aware that this is an open agenda and that you need to hold your comments to yourself since there's so many people here. We'll start with Rick Marino. Is he here? Hi, Rick.
Hello.
I have to say I know you.
And I don't know where to stand with so many people. I picked the
Right there.
night.
And let me just tell you, when you get to 30 seconds, our board secretary will let you know.
Okay.
So you kind of have that.
And state your full name and address.
State your full name and address.
All right. My name is Rick Moreno. I live off of Hubbard Road, 855 West Hubbard. And I wanted to visit with you guys just real briefly. I have a packet for annexation in the city. And I was just getting, going over the packet that you guys had sent in, and it talked about a lot of the crunches that was going on in the school district and the approved developments up to this point. And I think I'm sort of caught in that whole mess of the larger developments compared to what I'm doing. My request is actually to create 2 lots for my sons to move and be closer to our family. Though that started 7 years ago, it's been a long process between the county and the city to figure out what to do with me. I had to create a street in order to get the lots created, to pay for the street, to have the 2 lots for my kids. This isn't a retirement parachute or anything for me. But I know with the city's crunch, they're requesting mitigation for schools or monies for different things. And I guess I was just wanting to state that I do totally understand that that's a need for the, protect the taxpayers, you know. But I've also been a taxpayer for 27 years and, you know, we won't get into that on my own. You know, my kids went K through 12, my wife worked for the school district for 20 years, and we've been paying taxes for the last 15 after they've been out. Plan on paying taxes, we're not going anywhere, we're not leaving, I'm not a typical developer that's coming in. Today I might be considered a developer because I'm doing this annexation, but it's not the same form that's normal in what we've seen. So I guess my thought is that if I could, you know, we continue to support the community in a lot of different ways, and if that could be changed or something added to where I'm willing and able to do some mitigation, just not at the dollars that can really help my influence to the impact for the schools, maybe it's 4 kids. But the packet doesn't really state anything. It's sort of almost like a form letter that they got. So I'm just wondering if that can be revised at all, or if that could be updated. That's it. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Marino. And I have, I believe, sorry, is it Lori? Can I help you with this?
Weatherby?
Oh, Mrs. Weatherby, I tell ya, I didn't even see that. I am so sorry. Thank you.
She has good handwriting.
Yeah, and I was a teacher for years. Usually I can read it, but I wondered, but then I was like, would you please state your name and your address?
Yeah, my name's Lori Weatherby, and my address is 6010 East Crossroad Lane. Fellow community members, teachers, colleagues, trustees, I was hoping to speak to you guys after we discuss the budget, but I'm just here in hopes that you guys really consider the impact on what you're doing. I think all of us in here, we're here because we love kids and we want what's best for kids. I know the decisions you are gonna make are gonna be tough, but us as teachers, we're not the enemy. And I know that you're not the enemy. And I guess what I'm hoping is when you make those decisions, you're making decisions not only for the kids, but for employees who give everything they got. Some of you are new, I saw you at graduation, and I have to admit, I was a little sad that you didn't take an opportunity to get to know us and even approach us. And I think there's a misconception that there's a division, and I hope the binding line is that we want what's best for kids here. And it makes me sad. I'm hoping the decision's a good one. This would be my 30th year if I decide to stay and teach. 24 of them have been lovely years at Kuna, but times have changed. And I think the misconception that we see on TV is not what is really going on in the schools. And I would challenge you guys to go and meet and talk with us, not just go based off what you're hearing from the community on hearsay from what kids. We love your kids, but they're also kids. And I think we can take a look at how we thought as young 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old students and what the media is portraying. Come in my classroom. I would love to have you. My door's always open, just like my arms are always open for your kids. So whatever your decision is, it's gonna make an impact. I hope it's not in a negative way, but really take a look at how it's not gonna only impact children, but amazing people who spend a lot of time from maintenance, from individuals who just pour everything they've got to make this thing work. And that's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will probably slaughter this name too. Suzanne Rom? Did I do okay?
You're good.
I did do it right?
It's wrong, but you're okay.
See, sorry.
If it helps, the original was wrong. So.
Okay, well, there you go, thank you. Go ahead and state your name and address. And
Suzanne Ronge, 1103 North Cambric Drive here in Kuna. Good evening. So I have 6 kids. 2 of them have already graduated. My youngest is set to attend 3rd grade over at Hubbard, and a 5th grader that's gonna start over at Ross.
Sorry.
I just want to start off tonight by saying thank you to all you board members for taking time out of your day, out of your families. As a former board member, I know what it takes. So thank you. Tonight I came with a lot of plans and ideas for Hubbard, and not having to close Hubbard, but to close the annex, and just kind of shift kids over differently into Hubbard, instead of impacting Hubbard and Indian Creek and Ross. Crunching numbers from what we had during our bond and what the capacity was, and putting kids over there, I think it would just really take away from our kids and their learning, and our amazing teachers over at Hubbard. But I did see another option that hopefully does get discussed tonight, because I thank you for taking the consideration with all the emails and discussions that have come in from families. Let's see. I also wanted to state that I hope that what has happened over the last week, that not just as like a board, not just as a district, but as a community, that we can push when these bonds comes, when these levies come. I know I can only do as much as I can, but now it's gotten to this point because we want to keep saying no, and now it's affecting our kids. So I think the next one, we really have to find a way to really reach the whole community. So my last thing is that I hope that now that we have most of a new board, that when we have these emergency things come up with the buildings, that we do them one by one instead of them all now hitting us all at once. And now we're just stuck in a situation. So that is all. So thank you all again.
Thank you. Okay, this one I've got Laura Anderson. Thank you. Please state your name and your address.
I'm Laura Anderson. I live at 2500 East Rocky Falls Lane in Kuna. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the budget in regards to the ag department at the high school. I want to start by expressing my appreciation to the board and the administration for being very mindful As you plan the budget for the coming year, very difficult decisions are having to be made, and as a community member and a parent, I thank you for taking that responsibility very seriously. I appreciate the back and forth discussion I observed during your special meeting, and although it's uncomfortable to not agree, as an observer, I prefer to see that process at work and know that coming to a meeting of the minds isn't always pretty. Thank you for taking the time to meet and discuss, and I think the results you come to will be better for everyone, especially our students, which is what we're all here for. For those board members that may be less familiar with the Ag department at Kuna High, I want to speak today on behalf of those teachers that work within that department. I believe there's currently 4 that teach all of the Ag classes. And in case you don't know, the Ag classes are incredibly valuable and offer real-world learning and opportunities for our students, which is especially important because we reside in an agricultural community. Additionally, although in the last few decades, the essential nature of agriculture in our society has been undervalued, that is now changing. It's becoming increasingly apparent that the pendulum is swinging back to emphasize the importance of trade careers, including agriculture. Agriculture does not just mean farming crops and raising animals. This is reflected in the broad range of classes that are offered at Kuna High. The classes taught include Intro to Ag, Zoology, Animal Science, Ag Mechanics and Welding, Livestock Management, Equine, Landscape Design, Botany, Greenhouse Management, Forestry and Wildlife Management, Ag Economics, Ag Business, Floral Design, Plant and Soil Horticulture, and more. In addition, these instructors also spend countless hours teaching and practicing with the many students that belong to the FFA program. After school, they spend many hours and weekends preparing for local, district, state, and national competitions. And this experience results in amazing personal growth for the students, as well as leadership opportunities and the earning of substantial scholarships. If you've ever attended one of the fundraising events or other things put on by the FFA program, you'll see how much our community loves and supports these students and these experiences. As parents, community members, we stand behind our Ag teachers, our students that participate in Ag classes, and the FFA organization, and ask that you as board members will do the same. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we have one more that is signed up, Elliot Tolbert.
Yes.
All right, if you'll state your name and your
Yes.
address.
Elliot Tolbert, 2778 West Midnight. We're in Kuna. Thank you for the time to address you guys. I actually related, but I cannot follow up all of the wonderfully prepared speeches that were just given. But I wanted to kind of address actually the superintendent search. The last meeting, you guys came in, we had, there was a slideshow and we were gonna discuss, you all were going to discuss, what are our options. And that discussion very quickly went, oh, we have 3 bids for this or 4 bids. The levy not passing now, looking at the bids, we're looking anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000. That's classified staff salary, that's a half of a counselor, that's money that can be reallocated in the budget. And so I just wanted to come in and really kind of implore the board to take a look at maybe redirecting how we search for the superintendent rather than outsourcing it to, I think out of all the bids, every one of those companies was from the Midwest. Nobody was even in the States without, except for ISBA. But we got lucky with Wendy being an in-house body that was just kind of promoted into the role, even if we just use in-house assets and try to save that money, and let's put it back to the kids or put it back to facilities where it should be. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, there should be someone, Mandy Barnes, on that list.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there is, and I apologize. Mandy Barnes. Sorry, Mandy.
That's okay. I was like, I swear I wrote my name down.
Yeah, you did. It's just, I get a little nervous. Can I say that as chairman?
Oh, you're nervous too? Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
All right.
So go ahead and state your name. And
My
your
name is
address.
Mandy Barnes, 930 South Pinmark Avenue. Today I was going to come up here and speak regarding the issue with Hubbard closing. I'm a Hubbard mom. So I had a speech ready and I was gonna come up here, and then as Suzanne said, there were slides that were also sent out that there's discussion of an alternate solution. So thank you so much for putting that alternate solution out there. But I still do want to speak about the budget and the position cuts that have been presented. Let's please remember that the school board is in business of student success, not making money or cutting budgets. Let's also remember that the product is our children and should be at the forefront before making decisions that will directly impact students and families. Per John Hattie's research, one of the highest indicators of student achievement is teacher credibility in the eyes of the student. I pulled a quote from his research that states, "If a teacher is not perceived as credible, the students just turn off. If a student doesn't get the value of education by the age of 8, they are behind for the most of the rest of their school life." Students are very perceptive about knowing which teachers can make a difference to their learning, and teachers who command this credibility are most likely to make the difference, end quote. Our students' school years, especially these younger years, are crucial for the development of skills critical for future success. We are fortunate to have a school like Hubbard, as it allows for staff to build solid relationships with students in a supported and caring environment and command that credibility. Although research indicates that student class size does not directly impact student achievement, there is indication that added classroom support, intervention specialists, aides, and effective classroom management strategies do have impact on student achievement. These are the positions that are proposed to be cut. As decisions are made on budget and position cuts, it is imperative that we maintain quality teachers in our district. Please don't leave. I want to ensure that student and school success programs, opportunities for teacher growth and professional development, behavior management techniques, etc., are also spared and supported. This is imperative to our children's current and future success. Thank you.
Thank you. I now believe that is all on the delegation, so thank you very much for taking time to talk with us. All right, so now we're on unfinished business discussion and action items. And we need an update on the capital plan task.
Chairperson, is that what you say, right?
Yeah, you can say whatever you like.
Members of the board, this is just really a short update because we really haven't moved forward too much on this because we've been kind of knee deep in some other things right now. But moving forward, what we want to do is we'll send out a survey. We already have a couple of names of people interested, but we'll send out a survey, get some interest, and then the goal will be to probably once school starts or in August to get that committee working. So I will be working on that this summer, getting the names, getting the information out, and then setting up the first meeting. But I think it probably won't happen until school starts in August, because July is so hard to get people together.
No, I think.
If you're okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
There's one suggestion that I came up with, I was thinking, and we talked about different people on that committee. I
Yes.
would like to see some students also,
Sure.
because it is about them, and I don't think I made that clear to you, along with what we talked
No,
about.
I think I do, but thank you for reminding me of that. But I
Yeah.
know we do have a couple of people already that are interested.
and then we
on
talked
that,
about
parents and.
Parents, business
People
people.
have reached out to me too, so
Yeah.
maybe if you want, we can get
Yes.
together
Yeah.
and
Yes,
discuss.
because I know you two are so I will, that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
It's just.
I
that's
feel
all
it has
right.
to take the
Okay.
back seat right now for what we're doing and what we're
Yeah.
doing right now.
So we'll have
But
some time and.
I appreciate
we'll have
you
some-
saying that.
Thank you.
All right. We're gonna consider the superintendent search packets, the RFPs, I believe, that came, and take a look at those. I guess I'm the one making the action item. There were, I believe, 5. So we'll go ahead and open up for discussion.
Well, I think do you want to talk about the information that you had with ISBA's amount that they were going to charge us?
You can, however you want to do it, Hillary.
Okay, the bid for ISBA was $8,700, but because we're members, then they give us $2,000 of a discount or back, or?
2,000, I think it might be back, I think it's through, from what I understood, a grant
Mhm.
that comes back. So that would make it 6,800 for full. There also, I believe, is a 4,800, and they'll just do the beginning part. And with that one, when I talked to them, it was a $400 reimbursement. I guess I'll go through what I thought. I did number one, and I can't remember who they are, Ray and Associates. And I thought the 30,000 was way too much, and they had no Idaho experience. So I didn't care for that one. Number two, I liked their timeline, but it was too early. I think that we should be looking at January and February of hiring and not December, because a lot of superintendents haven't made up their minds to look at things.
And which one's number two? 'Cause
Number
these are in
two
a
is
different order.
McPherson and Jacobson.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just going down the line there, and thank you for asking.
Mhm.
What was their cost?
Their cost was 14,500, but they did have a person on there who had most of her education here in Idaho that would be helping. I did like that.
Is that Andy Grover?
No,
No.
that was number 4.
Okay.
All right, number 3 was ISBA. I liked the price. I liked what they had set up to do, and I liked the fact that all of their business has been here in Idaho, and that there was only one person that got out once they started, and that was because they decided to hire in-house. And so I thought their, I don't want to say their success rate was good. So that meant something to me. Number 4 was HYA, I believe, and they wanted 17,800. But they had 2 Idaho schools that they have looked at, Driggs and Lake Pend Oreille. And I should say Driggs is Teton. It's a smaller one. Andy Grover's on that one, and they wanted 17,800. Number 5, again, I like the timeline, and their price was 23,800. So those are kind of some of my thoughts as I went through all of those today, or yesterday, or when I looked at it.
I thought that Andy Grover was on the McPherson Jacobson.
Yeah, they got.
Did I put on the wrong
These
one?
ones got flipped.
Oh, they
Yeah.
got flipped, sorry. Because I thought I'd done that.
'Cause the
It may have been,
H1A
it may have been
was-
when I looked at it. Yes, then if that's the one, I looked at his. And even though he was a little bit more than the 14,500, I liked the Idaho connection.
Mhm.
I do want to be on record just saying that, we don't have a budget for this, and with our budget cuts right now, this probably isn't something we should be doing, but I just want to be on record saying that.
And I feel like you too a little bit, JB. I feel like this is a hard thing for us to do right now, and I want to do it right. And when we're sitting here talking about budget cuts and people, it's hard for me. And tonight's going to be a hard night, but I do agree with you, and I want that to be noted.
JG Consulting was 30 grand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that the one that I said was number 1? Sorry. When I looked at these, I did number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I didn't put the names down.
Oh.
So it may have been looking different now than when I looked at it.
Well, that was a no for me.
Hmm?
That one was a no for me, because I don't want to pay 30 grand.
No, and I did like the fact there's no Iowa experience. And as has been pointed out, a lot of these come from the Midwest and have worked there.
And I guess just as a review, we opened this up for anyone that wanted to submit, no matter where they were from, as part of the process. And so
Correct.
we didn't seek all of these people out, just for, so everyone was
Correct.
clear. I mean, I like the price of ISBA for sure. I don't, it probably wouldn't be my first pick, it'd probably be my second pick. I like McPherson and Jacobson, the way it was presented, and I like the local connection, the somewhat local connection, and, but it is more money, so. I guess.
And that's with Andy Grover.
It is, yes, and I don't know him, I just know that he was the superintendent of Melva, that's all I know
Yeah.
about him.
I think he's the head of the superintendents, help me out, here in Idaho.
IS, what is it?
ASA.
Yeah.
ASA, I think, yeah, he does do that too.
ISA.
Mhm.
IASA.
So I guess I agree with Hillary. I liked ISBA and McPherson and Jacobson.
So, I can, if no one else has anything, I can make a motion, but did you have something?
No, I like those two.
Okay. So, would someone like to make the motion?
I make a motion that we go out to bid, or that we use ISBA to do a superintendent search.
So I think on the agenda for the action item, it's to
It's
narrow it
two.
to two and here are two presentations.
And I just want to say, because we're doing this, it's just one step in many steps, and that we understand, as JD has said, that this costs money, and I'm not sure it's money we have. But I do feel that we need to go forward. So I just want that to be said, and your motion is?
My motion would be to hear presentations and narrow the search of superintendent firms to McPherson and Jacobson and ISBA.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Okay, Kirsty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Hillary?
Aye.
Kim? Aye. Okay, so we'd like to hear from those two at our next board meeting. All right, next thing is the second reading of policies. Mr. Graves, you're up.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
There's not much room back there. It makes me
No,
want
we're
to gotta
really
go on a
tight.
diet, yeah.
This is everybody's favorite part of our board meetings. And these are second reads. This were just the changes that were recommended or requested by you guys. I will go as fast or as slow as you guys would like. Policy 519, remember the definitions is what the request was, and then to remove as perceived by some.
Yep. I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the second reading of policy 519.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All right, Hillary?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Kirsty?
Aye.
Aye for me. Okay, next one, policy 570.
Yeah, second one is a statement in 570 in regards to extracurricular and co-curricular student activities. Scroll down to the fees for extracurricular activities. This sentence, student athletes may be withheld from games, practices, events, meets, and matches until fees are paid. The stress was may. Sometimes students, parents get in a situation where maybe there's a payment plan, so it didn't say will, but otherwise, that just gave them, we're asking for fees, and if fees aren't paid, there's that statement in there.
Yeah.
It does outline the fees specifically, right? So do we want to place a hold on this up, because we'll be discussing some of that in our budget talks? And like, maybe wait to, I mean, because it's one of, I thought it was one of the items we would be talking about.
And remember, this is second read, if you have a third read, we can do corrections or additions for the third read as well.
I think that, are those blank to be filled in, correct?
No, they're the current fees.
Okay,
It's
so the
100 for
correct
high
fees-
school and 70 for middle school.
Okay,
If we can fix that on the third reading, I make a motion that we approve this policy.
okay, and
570.
do I have a second?
I second.
Discussion, I just want to make sure that people know, as parents, that it is a participation fee and not if your child,
Pay to play.
yeah, it's not a pay to play, that it's participation. I just want to make sure that that's noted, because I know there are people who they pay that money and then their son doesn't play and they get a little upset. So I just want to make sure that that's noted. Okay, all in favor, Kirsty?
Aye.
Aye.
Michael, JD?
Aye.
And me, aye.
The third one is policy 610. It was a correction. We had, in words, it said 46, and in numbers, it said 48, so now they match. 48, 48.
Can I just say thank you?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion to accept policy number 610 for the second read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Kirsty?
Aye.
Michael? JD?
Aye.
Hillary?
Aye.
And I for me.
And the last one is policy 730. The rules for electronics were in procedure, and you all asked they be put into the policy. So we did that, however, the students with fragrance, spraying like colognes and mist didn't really match the electric devices, so that it just dropped down to line number 12.
Seems like a good policy.
I'm not saying you can't wear it, we're just saying don't.
Don't spray it
Don't
while you're
spray
there.
it.
While you're on the bus
It could affect kids with allergies, so.
or a driver.
Or the driver, that's true. I appreciate you detailing that out. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept policy 730 for the second reading.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
And any discussion? Hillary?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Kirsty?
Aye.
And I'm aye. All right. And now for the 2004 levy election results, which make me sad. But I appreciate that we're going to be saying what the amount was. And so that would be our clerk.
I wasn't going to.
Oh.
You can click into them to see what the yes, no votes were. I just need an action item saying, or a motion, that we will accept the results as.
And what was the final when you combine Ada and Canyon? Is that there that I'm not seeing?
In these, they're just
I don't
listed
think it was
separately,
combined.
not.
It's not combined?
It's
So-
not combined.
Ada was-
Okay, so that's just what you're doing. So wasn't it like a 56%?
56. And
I
then
just want to make sure
70.
that it wasn't, 70 was
Yeah.
Canyon. And then when it came out, it was 56. I just want to make sure that the,
56 to 44.
57.
yeah, 56 to 44. I just want to make sure that our community knows.
That was just Ada County is 56.
No, it was combined.
That was the combined.
Yeah, I think it was 53, I want to say, for Ada.
Okay.
But when it comes out, there were only like 100 people in Canyon, so when you take that percentage, it comes out to that. But I just want to make sure that people understand that the levy was a little closer than what we thought. And so, yeah. And that is why we're here today, and that is why we are ready to, or I guess we're not ready for that yet. Let's do the school year.
I need a
You just-
motion.
oh, Make a motion,
A
sorry.
motion.
Do I have a motion to accept the levy election results?
I make a motion to accept the levy election results.
And a second.
I second.
And all in favor, Hillary?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And Kirsty?
Aye.
And I for me. Now we'll move along with our school year negotiated agreement. And that is Director Graves and Trustee Thornton, our K co-presidents, Melissa Nielsen and Christy Mock.
Full house.
Yeah, it is a full house. Surprise.
I won't accept, no, I'm just kidding. Chairman and board members, we are presenting our negotiated agreement that we worked through. We use our interest-based bargaining process where Mr. Thornton is on the board with us or on the negotiation team, as well as some of our district leaders, and we have representatives. Like, where did you go? Sorry, it's like my second graders, like, they're just disappeared. And then we have a representative for the secondary, for the elementary, and for the middle school. And then because Christy and I are co-presidents, we have both elected to be on the negotiations. That way, we're both in the know and not having to relay the information. This is our interest-based process. We'll talk more about that in a second, but these are our timelines. It was presented to the membership on Tuesday, May 28th. It was ratified with 3 no's and the rest were yeses. So, and we're presenting it to you now. We have a great insurance broker and committee
that work through our insurance costs, adjustments, the different benefits that we have. We were a healthy school district this year, and so our insurance rates did not go up. There are some, and these are hyperlinks, you can go in and look at the insurance presentation as well as the master contract. We had some contract language that we needed to clarify. The first one is the contract will include an agreement between the Kuna School District and the Kuna Education Association to continue the interest-based bargaining process for negotiations. There is a change to the bereavement language that is updated to reflect your newly approved board policy. There is a change to, for our certified staff that are, this is long, sorry, that are required to take CEUs, which are the continuing education units, to renew their occupational licensure, such as nurses, speech pathologists, several of our CTE teachers. We are solidifying a standardized ratio to convert to the pay scale payment. So this removes any of the ambiguity that we've had about credit conversion and placement. We are adding to the fall review language that allows the Kuna Education Association and the Kuna School District to reopen negotiations in the event that the district receives unanticipated funds or staffing units are greater than currently negotiated. Big comment. Salary schedule. So just a little history for our new board members. Previous to 2017, we had a salary schedule. In 2017, a new one was created, but the other one was opted to be retained for employees that had been hired prior to 2017. This, while was a great idea, between our furloughs and our different adjustments that had to be made to the salary schedule, we ended up with 2 salary schedules that were highly confusing and had a lot of errors in them. So since 2017, we've been trying to fix some of those errors. We've tried to fix them with changing ratios, with percentages, that sort of thing. But our interest has been to have one salary schedule with the ability for certified staff to move quickly through the schedule with education and longevity for the highest benefit. Thank you. We also wanted to avoid the confusion when we were recruiting. Some people were looking at one pay scale, thinking they were going to get paid that, as opposed to they were hired after 2017 and they were on a different line. Our state funds master's degrees differently than bachelor's degrees, and so we're trying to encourage teachers to get their master's degree, so it increases our funding. And we'd like to reward employees for hanging out in Kuna and give them incentives for their education. So because of the money that the governor promised teachers last year, we were able to make iteration 1. So when we first proposed fixing this and putting it into one salary schedule, Elmira said no to my $5 million adjustments. So knowing that we were going to need to do these in steps, our first iteration was last year. We merged the 2 salary schedules into one. Every individual salary was analyzed in detail and ensured that it was accurate on a new schedule. And with the governor's promised money, if it was less than if their increase or movement, well, it wasn't really an increase, but if their movement was less than $3,550, they were compensated with an additional amount from the district. So now we are iteration 2 for 24-25. So the governor's promised money is now embedded into the salary schedule. So we don't have to make any supplemental payments. There aren't any supplemental contracts that need to be made in order to adjust the salary on this schedule. It adjusts steps and lanes so that the increases are reliable and consistent throughout the salary schedule. And Mr. Thornton can speak to this. When we were looking at the original salary schedules, and even last year with the adjustment to one, there were some areas where you moved from one year to another and you got $100 for stepping down a year. There were other areas where maybe you got $5,000 for stepping down, but there was no rhyme or reason to why it was such a difference. So we have tried to make it so that the steps make sense and the lanes make sense. So again, thanks Elmira, she's done so much work for us with this salary schedule. Every individual salary was analyzed to ensure it was accurate on the new schedule. So she took every person and placed them where they would be. So this is our adjusted, the iteration 2, the final adjusted salary schedule.
I'm just gonna make a statement. I really appreciate after 3 years, that 4th year of staying in the Kuna School District, you make a larger jump. And I appreciate also what you're bottoming out at. I thought that was very competitive to those schools around us.
It is very competitive. The year 4 is actually the governor.
Oh, is that the governor's?
Is mandating that.
Well, I'm just thinking, thank you, because
Right?
as a teacher, it
Yeah.
sounds like we're rewarding those who stay, and I thought, that's nice, it's a nice.
And that is, when we looked at other salary schedules from the state, but also other states, that seems to be the trend, is that we want to keep our teachers. Once we've trained them a little bit for a few years, we want to keep them, and so most school districts have a jump around year 3 to 5.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I thought that was good.
No, thank you.
And the salary schedule is very nice now, because next year we could just add the cost of living to it
Right,
instead of this
instead of
huge
this
change again. And so teachers know basically what they'll make with more education, and it's consistent for everybody.
So we're hopeful that everyone will have an increase in pay this year, but it is not a raise. We're not asking for a percentage of increase in our salary. We are asking to fix the salary schedule with this final iteration. However, that leaves our last rewarding employees with longevity bonuses and education incentives. Next year, we would like to propose some sort of system where our teachers that hit this 15 years, when they're 16 years, they're still here at 15 years. We would like to propose, and we'll obviously negotiate this, some sort of, like if you've been here for 16 to 20 years, an additional amount to reward our teachers that are sticking around for 30 years, is that? Way to go. All right, so that kind of falls into our continuing task force. While we worked very hard this year with a lot of negotiations, because we collaborate with the interest-based bargaining process from September, and then we do our formal negotiations starting in March, we are able to really look at it, our district, and look at throughout the year what teachers need, issues that are arising that come up. And so we try and fix everything, because that's who we are, teachers. But that's not always possible. So some of the things that have still been on our radar or that were added to our radar this year are compensating our certified staff that are required to be at an event but are not being compensated for being at that event. Longevity and education incentives. We are needing more behavioral supports, whether it's training for teachers or staff. Like to keep working on that. Our class sizes and caseloads are recommended, which is pretty standard in the state, but we'd like them to be required. Working with administrators to the secondary and elementary schedule, making sure that our elementary students are being taken care of, but also that our secondary students are getting the hours and that the schedule best meets their needs. And then continuing to work with our administrators, evaluating with them, and the district office. So our hope is that it will be, that you will have your motion and that we can send out our contracts soon, because we need to get them back. So.
Thank you for presenting. Do I have a motion to consider the negotiated agreement?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion or comments? All right, Kirsten? Aye. Michael?
Aye.
Judy?
Aye.
And Hillary?
Aye.
And me? Aye. All right. And now, for the main event, considering the 24-25 budget.
Chair Nixon, trustees, when it comes to budget, they're good years and they're challenging years. So the last 2 years, they were good years because we still had a luxury of soft funds, such as supplemental levy and also ESSER funds. Just a reminder, that's the pandemic relief funds that are unfortunately expiring today. So also they're known as soft funds. So unfortunately this year, not just for us, for many school districts, this year got a very bad nickname, a funding cliff year. That means for many, many districts, the additional sources of revenue are no longer available. For us, it's 2 sources of revenue, supplemental levy and soft federal funds. So it's not a surprise, we have been preparing for this, but it doesn't matter, you can prepare for it way ahead of time. It really hurts when it happens. So today is gonna be, we're gonna make difficult decisions, and there's gonna be conversations. So just because this is a budget hearing, I will still have to present you with the information, and then I'll pause and leave some time for your conversations and considerations so you can make a final decision. And just because, unlike other districts, we are one of the few districts that have a luxury to split the pain over 2 years, right? We're not going a full $5 million reduction in 1 year. So we're giving ourselves a time. So this year, we're only going with a half of it, $2.5 million reduction. And even with that, it always stands with all the conversations that we have, we always tend to talk about 2 years, right? We're talking about current and then we're worrying about the future. So I would like to kind of maybe navigate the conversation with the slides. In the beginning of the presentation, I will focus on the present, and when I say present, I mean the school year that's about to start in a month, in July, the fiscal year. So the decision that we're going to make today, it's going to affect the current school year, that's the 24-25 upcoming school year. And the motion that you're going to make, it's going to affect this school year. We will still leave some time to talk about the future, the things that, the homework for us to do and some research, but today's budget hearing is about the 2024-25 school year. And usually I talk about general funds only, but we've been talking about it since April, and it's, it's an ongoing kind of work in progress. We make decisions and we go through several iterations. And there's some things that have changed since May, so that's why I will talk not only about general fund, I will talk about the change of plans in our debt service fund, in our school facility fund, and in our general fund. And so I will talk about one fund at a time, and I promise I'll leave some time for conversations because I'm sure you have lots of questions. So now, not talking about any cuts, not yet, not talking about general fund. Just let's talk about debt service fund and the facility fund. So this is the bucket of money that Michael Keith was talking about last Monday. So just a reminder, hopefully this chart looks familiar to you. So the new House Bill 521 that was recently approved by the legislation is going to bring 2 different buckets of money, if you will. I'll be saying buckets of money, 2 different sources of revenue for Kuna School District. And so right now I will talk about one of them, known as the School District Facility Fund. It has its own Idaho code. And initially, this fund has a nickname of the waterfall terms, right? Because, and that's not new money, you know, that's the kind of an ongoing annual distribution, but it comes with terms and conditions. It comes from the state, and our, like, the expected amount is $2.1 million, and it comes with terms and conditions, and they're known as waterfall. They're like, first you do this. If you don't have to do this, then you can do this. If you don't have to do this, you can do this, but you have to follow first come, first serve terms. That's why it's called waterfall. So the initial plan that we had, and that's what we did last year, right? You know, and these are the waterfall terms that I was talking about. You know, you have to reduce the bond levy first, the supplemental levy, the facility levy, and then you go to the option D, which is more flexible. Last year, you know, we still have our existing debt, annual interest and principal payments that we have to make for our existing bond. And the state says, you know what? We will help you only with the portion, and you go and ask for a difference from the community. This is how the tax rate is changed back and forth, and only ask for a difference. So use this money to pay off a bond levy first. So the change of plans is, and not the change of plans, the initial plan, we do have our restricted fund, the debt retirement fund, has some funds that could be used only to make interest and principal payments or pay off some debt ahead of time, like making an extra principal payment to save on interest. And that's our plan. We were going to do the defeasance in August. So this slide is going to show what has changed since May. And this is what we're going to do, and this is what I'm going to put in the budget financial statements and send to the state. The change of plans, Michael Keith, our financial advisor, came up with a really good idea and explained to us that right now we are in a situation where we could change our plan and use these funds for facility and maintenance, and this is how. The money that we have collected to use for the defeasance, we're not going to do the defeasance. We're going to use this money to make our annual interest and principal payment. It's almost like making our mortgage payments. So if we're going to use the cash balance to make annual payments, then there is no need to go to the community for 1 year and ask for any money. That means there is no need to levy anything for 1 year. What that means for the community, the tax rate is going to be nearly 0. So what that means for us, the state will still give us these funds. And they will say, okay, follow the waterfall. If you don't have any levy, if you don't have any supplemental levy, if you don't have any facility levy, you fall under this section D, which we could use it for maintenance. Or reserve it for future debt payments, either or, it's not and. And of course it is all new to us, right? And we just want to make sure we're not breaking any rules. We want to make sure we don't have to pay it back. And we want to make sure we're in compliance with Idaho code. So I took the snapshot. This is the snapshot from Idaho code. And this is the section D. It says exactly what that slide says. So none of those categories apply to us, so we could use the funds for the facility and maintenance. And we do not have to return it back. But Idaho code, you know, we all interpret it differently, so it felt better to reach out to the state and get a response from them as well. And this is the link to the recently asked questions, because we're not the only districts that are going to do this here. And they confirmed that we do not have to return it as long as we use it for allowable expenses. And the key word here is what we call waterfall. They call it order of uses. The key is the order of uses applies at the time the funds are received. So in 2024-25, we're not going to have any levies. If anything happens in November, that's effective the 25-26 school year. So I feel very comfortable with Idaho code and the confirmation from the state, and the recommendation would be to take Michael's key advice and follow with the new plan, so we could have access to the facility funds.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Or
please.
just interject, just so the public knows, the only reason why we're able to do this is because our levy didn't pass.
Because our levy didn't pass.
And the question is, just to make sure we could use this money for salaries of maintenance employees.
This, yes. So, so the question is, we could use these funds because Idaho code says routine maintenance, so that means we could use it to pay salaries for the maintenance crew. Unfortunately, this fund is more restrictive because they removed the word routine and it's modernization only. So yes, we could just a minor, one-time opportunity, but yes.
And then the other question is, if we did run a levy in November and it passed, that levy, we would probably decrease the money by this amount?
By this amount,
in the
yes.
levy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I also want to say that this is one-time money, and it's because of what we have saved in the past by paying our defeasance and paying our bonds down.
Correct, this is a one-time opportunity.
And so that the community knows, anything we put over there at the end of 1 year is
Correct.
gone.
This is a one-time opportunity because we only have enough to make payments for 12 months. In the year 2025-26, I will have to levy this amount, and then we will go back to the way we were.
Okay.
And the tax rate will go back to probably a half of what it is right now, 50 cents per
Or it can be
100,000.
used for repairs, to fix things, right?
Yes, the 2.1.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
But it's only a one-time.
Correct,
Yeah.
one-time opportunities, yeah. It's confusing, that's why, on one day I spent all this time researching and then reaching out to other districts, and I'm like, I just need it in writing. So it's just taking an advantage of an unfortunate situation, the supplemental levy didn't pass, but at least we could use some facility funds, for critical maintenance. Now, this is it's just like a summary of what I just said, kind of a summarizing. So what that means for taxpayers, they will be surprised the tax rate is going to be nearly zero for 1 year.
And then it will go back up
And it will go back up,
to
yes.
about 52 cents per 100,000.
Depending on the decisions made.
And depending on the
Yes.
decisions we make
Mhm.
in the levy, if we pass another levy, whatever.
But probably not even above 2%.
No, I think we've done very well and been very mindful about some of this to be able to use this money.
Good questions. Now, another question that I got, sorry, going ahead of my. So it's the timing, right? So some other concerns so now let's summarize, right? We have one bucket of money that the expectations will come from in August, that's already confirmed by the state. And then we have another bucket of money. The state said, you can get excited, yes, it's approximately $20 million, could be more, but don't get too excited because it's gonna take some time, We will try to give you a little bit of it, but we've got some work to do. Do not expect more than that, the rest will come sometime in the calendar year 2025-26, but it will come. It's just a matter of time. And the August is the earliest, and then I got questions, well, how can you start fixing things now if you don't have access to the funds? But this is the way we function. The state only gives us distributions twice a year. We have to figure out our cash flow in between, and that's what we do. That's why it's very important to have a good fund balance and a cash flow. And even without touching the fund balance, even if our contractors start any work right now, by the time they're done, we only pay after services are provided. We only pay 30 days most likely after the services are provided. So by the time we actually pay our first bill, it's probably going to be sometime in August. So we will already have access to those funds.
So let me make sure I understand
Mhm.
this. So what we would do is go ahead with some of our maintenance that needs to be done.
Some critical maintenance.
Critical maintenance off that
Yes.
2.1 that
Correct.
Michael Keith gave us.
Mhm.
So we could have air conditioning at the high school.
Depending on the priority, yes.
Just saying.
Yes,
Okay.
critical
I just want to make
maintenance,
sure
yes.
that I understand that.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
We can start the work now. So with that said, the next slide is gonna be about Hubbard. And, you know, I would like Director Grace to add in some information, but as probably already, hopefully everybody heard by now, there's some change of plans. The change of plans is not to close the whole school, is to close the annex building only. And it's gonna be very cozy in there because the main building is going to be full, but the students wouldn't have to, you know, transition to different schools along with teachers. Unfortunately, we will have to work with the Head Start program and find them another home. And with that said, if you have any questions, you know, Kim Beckett and Director Graves are here to answer all the questions that you may have.
The only question I have, but I think you've already answered it, is the Lego our Lego rooms will be saved. And the other question is to make sure that there's enough room. And will you have a Title I room, or what's going on with that one? And I just wanted to hear that.
No, well, I guess.
The Lego lab could also, you know, like what's not being.
Or the
used.
library maybe, or something?
Absolutely, and,
Okay.
and similar to what Reed does and some of our full buildings.
Yes.
You have small groups in the hallway, you
Yeah.
find every space.
I just want to make sure that those were being
Yeah.
taken care of.
My question is if we accept House Bill 292, do we still have to do this? We still have to
Yes,
close the annex?
Yes, because we have to get the room fixed.
Okay, so it's a
Yeah.
timing issue then?
Also.
One, it's unsafe to have kids in that building.
But,
Also the
but we'll
fire.
have the money to fix the annex, and as soon as it's done, we can come back.
We could, I think the priority would be like, what are you gonna prioritize first? Is it gonna be the high school HVAC and then Reed's room also? And so,
schools that have fire
or
panel.
schools that have fire panels, so.
Well, and that was my question about Hubbard. Is that also need fire panels? And so that kind of is a priority if we're going to be using that full of
Well, it's for all
kids.
Yeah, it's Indian Creek, it's Ross, it's Hubbard, and the Kuna High School all need fire panel and fire safety.
Is this part of a future slide, the critical maintenance, or is that gonna be on another meeting agenda? Like to kind of decide which things are prioritized?
Well,
So-
I think you're gonna get bids, but you couldn't get them in time, so that would be next
Right.
month. correct?
Next month, yes.
So we're not gonna be
That's
making a decision on what
What's done.
is done today?
Correct.
Because we need bids.
And then not to mention, like, because this money has a little bit more wiggle room than the other pot of money that we're gonna get once school starts. So we wanna be careful with that so that we can use it a little different if we have to.
And I'm trying to remember, was it 2.3 million that we needed to fix just those things?
The critical needs.
Yes.
4.5, remember it was 2.
Okay, but it's
11
2
was-
years, so we're not gonna be able to fix everything.
Close.
Remember we're 2
Very
million,
Yeah,
2.1, so we're
close.
really
We'll have
close.
$4.1 million.
And the reason,
Combined,
Yeah.
yeah, the reason I'm asking that is because I know we have looked at possibly putting maintenance salaries into that 2.1, and I wanted to know the breathing room we had. And it sounds like we don't have a lot.
And it's also just one time, so it's kind of like, probably, in my opinion, wouldn't be the wisest use of the funds.
Right. I was thinking of just hiring or looking at using those funds, but again, it's open for discussion, for a director of our maintenance facilities.
For sure.
And knowing that it's just a one-year thing,
Well-
because that's part of the proposal cut.
I know we keep saying it's a one-year thing, but I'm just saying that we have the ability to be flexible with that money. If our professionals that deal with that deem it's necessary to use it that way, I want to give them the ability to do that. We can always have that ability and go back, right? If we do it versus not. That's my plan.
Well, I would like to see
We wouldn't
it-
have to make that decision on how it's gonna be used right now, but I would want to be able to have that ability
To use it for what?
for
Salaries?
salaries.
For a salary, and I guess I feel like it should be used for the salaries of the people who are already on the grounds. That should, I feel, come out of the, because to do 1 year and then the next year if we find ourselves in the same position, I'd like to keep that in the general budget.
I'd like to
because
talk
they're already
about
there.
it at a later time when we have all the information, because I don't feel like I have enough of the information to make a decision, because we don't know, like, are we paying a salary for 1 year instead of what, you know?
Well, that's my question that we'd have to look at, but I'm just throwing that out for us to think about.
Well, and what if we don't have the money next year, then we've just saved it for 1 year versus fixing something that I feel like might be more important.
Yeah, I just want to know if we have a cushion there to do both. That was my question.
That's my concern.
I think we can make some decisions later. I'm just saying when we get to that point for that motion for the budget, to have that ability in there, in that motion. Because we can, like I said, we can always come back. We can't go forward.
I think it's built into the bill, right? Like, it's built into the law that you can use it for maintenance salaries or maintenance.
So if we,
Correct.
if we can,
Yeah,
okay.
if we accept it, I think it's accepting that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's accepting, I think, the 1 year that we may be in the same situation.
Right.
If he doesn't pass this, we things we have to decide.
Okay.
And I think it's good just about this, you know, just only closing the annex means no budget savings, and I think that's important for everyone to know. Like, it's one reason why it was submitted as an idea from the administration, because we were looking at all ways of saving money, and, yeah, so now we are removing that ability to save money.
Correct, so by not closing the building, there's no savings, so we had to find savings somewhere else and put more people on the list to come up with $2.5 million.
But
So
I
was
just
it
want
the
to
cost
add,
of
like,
something?
that's how important we felt keeping Hubbard open was.
Mhm.
So I want
Was it
that
the cost
to
of
be
something?
noted,
Yes.
that we felt like it was important to save Hubbard. That we care about these people and we care about the students and we care about the staff.
And I think one motivating factor for me was to just allow the students to not be as compact into the other schools, and I think, you know, displacing them would have done that, but, so I do like this point. But I guess what we have to cut next, we won't like as much.
Correct.
Here we
So, I know people are looking for the list, and the list with the details is not attached to the slide, and there is a reason for that, but you have access to this list, and hopefully we print it, right? We print it, so it's right next to, and the reason is because it has all the details, the list of proposed cuts, and there's some information that's, I call it a personally identifiable information, even though we didn't list the names, but just by the description of the position, and if it's only one position in the district, then it's really easy to guess. And employees feel very vulnerable right now, and in respect to our employees who are on that list, so for now, only you have access to this list, but this information will be public after the meeting, you know, and we can provide it upon the request. But in terms of conversations, let's refer to that list, you know, if you have any questions, Director Graves has it as well, and we can talk about it. But first of all, I would like to, you know, emphasize that our administration probably spent 80+ hours to go into iterations and iterations. When it comes to budget cuts, you know, all decisions are bad decisions. You just have to come up with a methodology, you know, to reduce the negative impact on students and teachers. That was goal number one. So the initial step to start with the district's office positions. So the list that you have is proposing to eliminate 5 positions, and the workload is going to be spread among the ones who remain. And then, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the list. Then, because it's a formal budget hearing, I will tell you how it's implemented in the big picture, what that means for the fund balance. And then when it comes to motion, I'm gonna give you some time and space to discuss, so then you can make the final decision. And then also, the next step, once you're done with the district's office, you go and you start looking outside of classrooms, right? Certified personnel, very valuable, but not in the classroom. So Director Graves and Kim Beckettall did a very good job talking to them. If they could become teachers, that means the savings for us, we would eliminate their positions, but they're not gonna lose their jobs. You know, so they only truly, by looking at this list, and hopefully, and I'm looking at Director Grace, only 3 employees truly lost their jobs and will have to seek for unemployment. They did an amazing job finding a spot for all 10 plus 5 for all 12 FTs. FT stands for full-time equivalent. So the methodology was to gather people from outside of the classrooms and asking them to be in the classroom. And but then, once we were done with this, the next step, okay, let's start looking into the classrooms. And the proposal is so currently we have 5 openings, and you have a breakdown which schools, and the proposal is to hold on and not fill in those positions, and those are teachers in the classroom. So in addition to that, we were able to do some shifts and shift certain employees from the general fund to different sources of funding, such federal funds. And we've been working with the Office of Drug Policy, and like, we even have a rule, only call once a day. If Kim Beckettall calls, I don't call. If I call, she doesn't call, so we don't overdo it. But the goal is, and we already have, verbal promises, and but not all of it is in the writing, but the verbal confirmation, along with the federal grants from the state and little pieces, we're removing our SROs from general funding, and they're gonna be fully funded by the federal grants. So that means that savings for the general fund.
Is that just 1 year? Grant?
Oh, yeah, all grants are 1 year, so even with the state, you have to come back and keep asking and asking. But that's what we do for many, many grants. Everything other than general fund, you have to apply each year. Now, kind of the same information, more summarized. And then, of course, we also looked, is there anything other than people? Can we cut down on curriculum? Can we do something with the schedule? Can we cut down on our technology expenses? Because, ESSER funds, the pandemic relief funds, were mostly used for the technology. And so kind of all together, the administration was able to come up with 2.5 plus little sum $1 million reduction, which is already a part of the proposed budget. And just a reminder, only 3 employees will truly lose their job, but if we go beyond that list, everybody who goes beyond that list, they will truly lose their job as well. And with that said, I know you really want to talk about it, but would you like to talk about it before we move on, or should I go?
I just have a question about the curriculum spending. That's important to me.
Correct.
As an educator, and I think as a parent in the school district, some of the curriculum that comes out of that. I know that's a lot of money, but I've talked with you, Mr. Gifford, and my understanding is there may be some other ways to create some of these programs that the teachers have used as supplemental, and to give them that, to be able to help them.
Yeah,
and not just
there's some free versions of things that don't work as well, but they could be used. Even within the curriculum budget that's remaining, none of the renewals have been paid yet. We've been waiting for this meeting to make sure that the funding is still there.
Right.
So even some of the renewals could be potentially short if we needed to.
Okay.
That doesn't save you money long-term though.
Right.
But it would.
I know as a past teacher in the classroom, some of those supplemental programs I use, and again, we're asking a lot of teachers, and I just want to make sure that there may be a place that we can go to help them with that.
And none of
use the money.
these things, they're all things that are being used because they're useful
I
and
know.
helpful to teachers, so.
And I understand that.
Right.
So I'm just wondering if there's, and I know we've talked about some different other areas, and I know you're creative, and I just want to make sure that those that are listening and here understand that this is not something I want to do. But it saves the main curriculum, it's just supplemental. Okay, thank you.
So before we make a decision and finalize the list, I do need to show you what it looks in terms of revenue and expenses and the fund balance, and then we can go back to the conversation. So just because there is a change since my last presentation in May, in terms of revenue, this slide is only showing revenue for general fund. And the main change is, as you can see, the supplemental levy is removed. So the revenue that we're going to budget is $2.5 million less, it's 43.2, and everything else remains the same. Expenses, as you can see, instead of $49 million, the amount is 46.4. It already includes the $2.5 million reduction. It already includes all the salaries adjustments that were presented to you earlier. Everything has been included here, all the considerations. And as you can see, like the difference between the year before, the expense was only increased by 1.7. It's very impressive considering that we were shifting lesser expenses and inflation on all other stuff. So with that said, every decision that you make today, if you approve the budget as is, then the expenditure amount remains the same. If you make any changes, if you approve the budget with certain changes and stated, that will affect this amount one way or another. And of course, it will affect the fund balance one way or another. And as you can see, the fund balance, the projected with this proposal is 14%, which is a little bit higher than what I presented earlier. Is just because the list that you have in front of you, it's not just rounded $2.5 million. It actually it's a little bit more than that. And you know, every dollar changes the fund balance percentage. So with that said, and the detailed budget document, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but I left comments that, tomorrow I will adjust and finalize the budget document upon today's decision. But it includes the information that I'm presenting today. And so usually, since it's a very difficult decision, and it feels right to give you two options, right? You can approve budget as presented and accept the list of proposed cuts that are presented to you that were prepared by our administration, or you can approve the budget contingent upon the changes, and just you will need to state the changes. We do not have to add up the amounts exactly, but if you clearly change, and if you clearly state the change, I'll write it down, and then I will adjust the amount accordingly, so as long as it's clear what the change is. And with that said, I'm gonna go back to any slide that you would like to keep on, and we're open for any conversations or discussions, and I have the list printed. I prepared for all possible questions that you may have, and if I don't have the answers, hopefully, hopefully we can get them to you as soon as possible.
So it says 20.5 general fund positions. It
Yes.
says 5 certified positions. So are you saying you're getting rid of all 5 of them?
Are you talking about the teachers, interventionists, or?
No, it says
the
teacher
people? Okay.
certified, 5.
Yeah, that is, my understanding, and you can answer that, is through attrition.
Huh?
Through them leaving, am I correct? Or they're, and
We're just not
fulfilling, we're not replacing.
We're not replacing the positions that are
Yeah.
open, positions that retired.
Yeah, they've retired, or
Mhm.
they.
Or
Is that
left.
called attrition? Did I say the right word?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or left the district.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have 6.5 instructional coaches. We're keeping, or getting rid of 1.5, correct?
Actually, 2.5, because if you look down at the cuts in the Title I grant, you're
Where's
getting rid
that?
of one at the very bottom.
It's 2.5 on the very last line. One of them is the position, 1.5 is eliminated out of the general fund. And the proposal is to eliminate one position that's funded by Title I funds. And the reason behind it is to release some funds and allow the buildings to keep their paraprofessionals. Or whatever they decide, whatever
So
they
we're
deem
giving
necessary,
them a
depending
chance
on
to
the
decide, which I
situation.
like that idea.
Yes.
Because originally we were getting rid of parapros.
So the way it works with federal funds, with Title I funds, the allocation is not guaranteed. We don't receive the same allocation, and unfortunately, we're funded based on census data. The census poverty data is not in our favor, and the allocation is gonna be reduced by almost, $100,000. And what it does, it really affects the buildings because they're all gonna get a reduction, and as a result, they would have to eliminate paraprofessionals positions because we cannot currently we do not use general funds to pay for paraprofessionals, only federal. By eliminating one instructional coach that is also paid out of Title I funds, that releases some funds for the buildings to either keep paraprofessionals or make other decisions because we let them.
Which makes me feel
At the
sad
local
that they
level.
decide how much money we get by how many poor people we have. And there are
Unfortunately, yes.
Other people who
And-
have reading issues and math issues, and so, but I'm just gonna say that now
Yes.
here, we know that we can't do anything about that, so.
Unfortunately not. The census data we cannot control. It's not free and reduced
And
lunch
so we
data.
come across with our census as high as,
Eagle and Meridian.
and so that's why we're making this
Mhm.
instead of what we need to.
Correct.
Thank you. Who knew?
Doesn't feel like it, but that's what it
No,
looks like.
no, and that's why we get that amount of money, which doesn't make sense to me, but that's the federal government, I guess.
I know you guys have been working your tails off for this, and I just want to tell you, thank you for all the extra hours that you put in, and I just want to say, good job, and Omira, good job. Thank you.
Yes, yes, and thank you to Michael Keith for coming up with
Yes.
the idea too.
The funds almost got a nickname, Michael's Money, and I'm like, please stop it, you can't call it Michael's Money. Let's call it Waterfall Money. Anyway.
So this motion, is there a couple motions we need to make here? Can I make a motion to accept House Bill 292? Or is that, it's in the?
It's in the budget.
It's already in the budget.
proposed budget already, but yes, I guess I didn't think about it, yes, the motion to accept House Bill 292.
So, this budget has taken a lot of time, and for you to come up with what you did, I feel like you've made cuts across the board, not just pointed people out. And personally, I'm just gonna say that the instructional coaches are important to this district and to our principals and to, most of all, our kids. And that being said, I just need to let you know that I've worked in the school district, and those coaches help teachers who need help. And I have permission from my son to say this tonight. He has been hired at the high school as a non-certified yet, but he's taking a different path. And he would like you to know that he relies heavy on his coach every day, that he goes to her and says, I need help. And she is there for him. And that is what makes good teachers. And I know that there are not all good teachers in our district, just as much as they're not all good doctors. But having those instructional coaches give a chance for those teachers to understand good class practices. That being said, I know as a teacher, I didn't always have time to find programs to help increase my scores as a teacher, and to have those instructional coaches find programs and bring them to the principals, and the principals bring them to us, saved me a lot of time. And I think that, I'm sorry that we're gonna go down to, I believe it's 4 instructional coaches.
Yes, after, so with this proposal, eliminating 2.1 position and 4 remains.
I think that that will suffice. And, yeah, I just wanna make that known, that I think it's important. It's important to our students, and that, to me, is the #1 reason I'm here on board, so. I just wanna say that.
I have a couple of questions. So it looks like interventionists are a place that's being cut quite heavily. And I feel like my feedback from teachers has been that those interventionists are extremely valuable, particularly with elementary kids. So, and in my reaching out, almost all teachers said that that the instructional coaches had value, but they would rate the interventionists and paraprofessionals as higher priority on their list of people to keep. So I just wanted to bring that up as a possible change out based on feedback that I have heard. I mean, we've all received a lot of emails. And so I wanted to just bring up this 5.5 interventionists that we'll be losing, and
did you want to
have a discussion about that?
Yeah, did you
Well, I
want to?
just wanted to say too, like, it doesn't mean we have to get rid of all instructional coaches, because some schools say they're valuable and some teachers say they're not. So I think it just depends too on the teachers and who they have and who's at their school. And I did hear feedback on Title I schools, specifically Hubbard. Their coach is very valuable, and I'm sure there's another school or 2 that also thinks they're valuable. So you could take the 2, keep 2, and take the other 2, and maybe give a stipend to teachers that are willing to be a mentor, because another teacher did say she has done that before. As a teacher, she got a stipend, and she was a mentor instructional coach. So there are other options to having instructional coaches than paying $100,000 per coach. That allows us to free up some of the budget, still keep ways to have instructional coaches, but also keep other jobs that are also very important, and maybe figuring out what schools maybe the instructional coach kind of floats around, but we have to have the conversation of what is more beneficial to students and teachers in the classroom, and how we can move money around and make it beneficial for everyone.
I guess my feeling on that is we have hired good administrators who have come up with a budget that they can stand by, live by, and they're the ones who face every day the questions that will come up. And so I feel that if I bet you and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure that maybe they have a way that they're going to take care of those interventionists in the school. And so I'd like to hear that, because what Hillary said.
I can't speak specifically to what I know as a former principal, I would have a plan 100% to figure out coaching intervention. We did, when we brought interventions in, remember we brought that in during COVID to close the gap. We did tell people 100% these are going to be positions that go away when the COVID money goes away. We've already taken the secondary intervention teachers away this past year. So only the elementaries had them in our alternative schools.
Does that mean intervention at the high school will not be there?
It wasn't there this year. We got rid of our secondary intervention teachers.
So when they do intervention during the lunch break?
The teacher that sat in the position of intervention. Same with both middle schools. That they call intervention their lunch program. Intervention is a person in a program as well.
And then what about, like, for example, language arts teacher had a floating teacher that came in. Are those positions still safe, or did we get rid of that?
We can't hear you.
Yeah, can you talk a little louder?
So in high school, there's a language arts teacher who had a floating teacher who came in and helped in the classroom. So are we cutting those positions too? Okay.
No, so 2 of our intervention teachers one is moving. and the other one had already moved to districts as well, so 2 of our positions were open. What's that?
The Title I funds at the elementary level are still used for intervention. So even though the Title I funds have been reduced, there are still staff that are paid out of Title I funds that do the intervention in elementary. So they've been reduced, so some pairs might be reduced, but they do still have intervention funds. When we talk intervention here, we're not saying there's no more intervention. We're saying specifically these intervention teachers that were hired during COVID to close that gap, those positions are what we're eliminating. So all teachers do intervention in their own classrooms, and then there's other systems set up within the buildings to do intervention time.
For example, when?
Yes, the WIN, you've heard all the schools that come and talk about their WIN time.
Right.
And at the high school, they have their lunch, I can't remember what it's called. Cave, yes. So there's intervention systems still in place. We're talking specifically about those intervention positions that were hired from ESSER funding.
The proper noun.
And they were also made to help those kids that were behind.
Closing the gap.
Because closing the gap, and so we do have some programs that do cover that. In a perfect world, would I love interventions in the school? Of course I would. But we're not looking at a perfect world right here. We're looking at some budget cuts because the levy didn't pass. And it's tough.
And we do have another slide that says 25, 26, and ideas of how do we get there for the next.
How do we
round
get
of this.
some-
And it does say continue to review positions.
Okay.
Well, and then also instructional coaches don't make $100,000, they make $71,000.
But the
I think it's-
compensation package altogether is 98,000.
Yeah, but teachers, that compensation package is not that far off between just a regular teacher as well.
And
they're putting more time in.
Yeah, they're paid for 5 extra days.
And a stipend of $5,000.
A stipend of an additional
So if you,
5,000.
I'm just saying, if you break it down, you can't say that.
It's 71,860.
Yeah.
Is in the average pay, correct me if I'm wrong, because they fall in different places on the
Yes,
scale.
the average.
So the average pay is
Everything you
67.
have, it's not individual salary, it's average.
And those
across the
coaches
district.
are usually teachers who have been here a while in our district.
Yes.
Have their master's degree.
Their experience,
Their
yeah, part of the
experience, and
schedule.
that is why
Their
they're
tool
paid.
belt's very full.
That's so paraphrase.
Well,
What'd you say?
So paraphrase.
I'm not necessarily advocating for all of the instructional coach positions to be removed right now, but I just think that it's important information that in my email inbox, I heard from a lot of teachers that said, if you're getting rid of positions, the instructional coach would be where to go. And so I think that that's really good information. I also heard in my email inbox, keep the instructional coaches. So we have plenty of people that don't think they're as valuable and in fact see them as more of a hindrance to the process. And I personally, I'm not saying that, I'm representing what people have said to me because I don't really know. I don't have information or experience personally as a teacher with that, but we've heard a lot of information on both sides of that. And so I think that's important to take what the teachers are saying to us and make sure we're hearing that.
I'd make a motion that we approve the budget for 24-25, which has been presented to us by our administration.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion?
Are
Hillary?
we still allowed to make changes?
No.
No.
Not unless we make a provisionally approved with contingencies.
We have a second. Let's vote.
So, Kirsty?
But after the second, don't you have the opportunity for discussion?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Is there more discussion?
Yes,
Okay.
because I have a question. So the Director of Strategic Partnerships, are they going part-time or did we remove it?
So the list includes the elimination of the position, unless you would like to make a motion to make changes and not to add this position to the list. And negotiate a part-time and outside of the budget. But right now, the proposal that was put together is to eliminate position unless you make a motion to make changes to that. And
Yeah, I'm
make
glad
it a
you brought
part-time.
that up because I overlooked that part of it.
Jessica?
Yeah, we received a proposal really from a few places, but also from her to possibly go to 10 hours, which would take her from receiving benefits and then reduce her salary by about half. Is that correct?
So what would the half be that you're looking at, the amount of money?
10 hours for 20, 25.
Yeah, so it'd be like
No
26,000.
benefits.
How much did you say?
$26,000 instead of $51,899.
And no benefits.
And no benefits.
I think when you start talking about direct relation with our education and students in the classroom, that we put all our eggs in that basket and not in that. When we do have 3 other people that can, it's not gonna be perfect, none of this is gonna be perfect, but we have 3 other people that can pick up the slack and be at those 3 meetings.
And who are
I
those
don't, it's gonna be,
Mr. Reno?
Mr. Reno, Mr. Graves, who's the, and
Yeah, who's the 3 people?
who's the 3rd person? Was it, Mr. Vickers?
Yeah, probably Mr. Reddy.
Oh, that's right, Mr. Reddy, that's right. So
I
there's
think-
3 people that can go. The point on return on investment and the money that you're spending for that position is, I don't feel that we're gonna lose that much money by having those 3 personnel go to those meetings. I don't think it makes sense.
Well, I feel like we're already reducing the district staff and asking our, admin to take on all the additional duties, that it would be nice to remove that from their plate and at 10 hours. I mean, it was like one of the biggest difficult sticking points in the entire school board member election, that everybody was worried that this would go away based on the votes of the new people.
This
And,
isn't gonna go, that won't go away. There's no way
Yeah, I
that's
think it
going
will be
away.
damaged for sure. I think it really will. I think it will, and Russ Johnson emailed and said that he really believed that it would, and so did the mayor, so did Danielle. I mean, we received emails by people that have been involved in the process, worried about the process. And I would like to still see those, the money coming in from those developers.
And I believe that she brings the knowledge and expertise that other people don't bring. And there's value to her position.
So I thought about this long and hard. And I've gone back and forth. Because this particular position has nothing to do with children. And we're making cuts from people that do work with kids. And I get the fact that she does bring some money, and I too have talked with Mr. Johnson about this. If I had to make a compromise, it bothers me to do that, knowing that we're doing away with a nurse. And that we're doing away with some people that are actually there. And I feel like if we're doing that, then we need to show where we are at. But that being said, I'm a compromise person, hello. I am willing to, because she suggested 10 hours. Maybe doing the 26 that you guys decided, because down below, we do have a cushion of 86,000.
Where do you see that?
At the very bottom, 2.586,000.
Oh. I mean, whatever we don't cut this year, we've got to cut next year.
And I get that too.
And it's
that's a
double.
cushion.
Because it's this year and next
The
year.
other suggestion that I'll throw out that I've thought about a lot is I want to keep the coaches, but I realize they make a stipend of 5,000. And I would probably be willing to do 2,500, which would save us 12,000 off this budget.
I mean, or we could allow teachers to be mentors and give them a stipend and cut to it.
I don't like that idea, because that's not what's been presented, and because I feel we need those coaches.
Well, like Hillary said, and I've gotten the same emails, some people think they're valuable and some people don't, teachers.
I think it's something that we probably could debate all night. I think it's time to vote on it.
Okay. So, that being said, those are some ideas. we have a first, we have a second, we've had discussion. So,
I'd
starting.
like to make a second motion, and I'm not real clear on the process, but am I doing it right, Dan?
I move to approve.
I move to provisionally approve the 2023-2024 revised budget and 2024-25 proposed budget contingent upon the following conditions being met. And I'd like to reduce the Director of Strategic Partnerships to 10 hours rather than cut her position completely. And I would also add that we could, in addition, add Kim's idea of reducing the stipend to $2,500 for the remaining instructional coaches.
I only wanted to do half, so that would have been 2,500.
Well,
You want to do
what do you
five?
mean?
They get a stipend of 5,000.
Right, so that's what I mean. We're reducing it to $2,500
Okay.
instead of $5,000.
Okay,
Is
and
that-
that comes out to 12,500 was my figuring, but maybe, I only do 34th grade math.
Whatever comes out to would be half of what
Okay,
they're
I'll do
being
the
paid
math.
correctly.
Okay.
I'll listen to your recording. Don't
Just
worry,
want to
guys.
make sure that's okay, thank you.
Yeah. And so I mean, that's my motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Any other discussion? Okay. Kirsty?
Aye.
Michael?
Which one are we voting on?
The
The one that Hillary just did.
The one that Hillary just did?
Yes.
Let's vote
Oh, let's do
on
the first one,
motion.
sorry.
Oh.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's right, we do have to vote on
Okay.
the first one, and I apologize.
No.
Okay, Michael?
Aye.
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 No.
That's 3-2. So motion carries.
All right, so that means,
Just to
Chairman,
clear, that means approve as presented.
Correct.
With no changes at all, nothing, no stipends, nothing, right?
correct.
Okay. And accepting House Bill 292.
Correct.
Accepting the proposal from Michael, okay.
Correct. Oh, that was hard.
Thank you so much.
And I
know
guess
it's hard.
Yeah, I can speak for myself, it's hard to do this, and I'm hoping that if we go for another levy, we will have more community members help us, so that we don't have to do these cuts again, because it's hard.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. So, and, this one, so now what we just did, we just approved the budget for 24-25 school year, a partial cut of $2.5 million. There's some homework to do, because we still have to choose a good path for the district for the remaining 3, hopefully less, hopefully less depending, because I know the superintendent of public instruction is working on revising the formula. That could answer a lot of questions. But, so what we did with collecting some feedback, put a list together, and there's no good or bad ideas. There's just some ideas that are on the table that we're putting and logging in. And if you have more ideas, please let us know. But these are the conversations that we're gonna start as early as July, because the sooner we start, the better it is. It's what can we do to help us in the future? Should we go for supplemental levy? Should we start rethinking our structure to see if we can reduce our expenses one way or another? So our homework is to research all those items, come back to you. Probably wouldn't have all answers in July, but as soon as we have the answer, we're just gonna, start presenting. And there is a lot of homework to do, and we're gonna start tomorrow.
And I had another question. Is one of those, I guess it's not a conversation about more reduction, the conversation would be, can we take a look at doing another levy or trying to pass another levy in November, and that's down there? Yeah.
Yes, another conversations that.
And when
Yeah.
would you when would you say that we need to start having that conversation? Should it be next month?
Today.
Today,
Yeah,
tomorrow?
the sooner the better.
Okay.
The deadline is by September 16th.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm just wanting to make sure that that's on the plate also that we're gonna be
And
looking at.
honestly, November or May, none of those dates are good dates, but November is better than May because look what's happening right now. You know, we had to make decisions within such a short period of time. That's why November is always a good time to start. At least if something doesn't work, we still have May versus with May, you know, we only have one opportunity. So yes, so we're gonna start preparing some communications and conversations.
The other thing I noticed on Kuna Snow, there was a lot of comment on why are they having the election in May and November? And I think it needs to be said that we have no other choice because this is what the legislature has
The
passed.
legislature, that's.
So if it doesn't pass in November, then we have to wait till the next May. And if it doesn't pass again, we have to wait till November. And I think that's
Mhm.
important for the community to know that we
Two opportunities,
can't
yes.
just pick a date.
We cannot make a date.
So I just want to make sure that that's also said.
I just want to speak to one thing on the child nutrition unpaid balances, and I know that Val has been working really hard on that. We've been working with a person from Feed the Gap, and Val sent a really nice email of why we are where we are, and because of the free and reduced lunch and the form that a person has to fill out and what they qualify for, or what people say they're not poverty, hasn't changed in a couple of years, and so they don't qualify. And yet they're making decisions on, I don't buy gas for my car, groceries, or, anyway, Val has worked really hard, sent a beautiful long email to the Feed the Gap people that have reached out to us. And she responded like Friday, I think, Val, I'm looking at Val with, thank you very much, this was great information, and what the whole debt was. And so I'm hoping that in July, that I know she will, she'll have what they're gonna give us.
Yeah.
So they will give us something to help us with, because I know that was one of your questions, Trustee Bruce, but they've been very good to us in the past, and we needed help. So that one could be hopefully a positive for us.
I noticed on here it said that we're gonna ask for an emergency policy change in June. Is that gonna come in today? And that's about the activity busing.
We would bring that to you in July.
July.
We didn't want to be presumptuous.
Okay.
I'll have it ready for July.
Okay.
And another homework for Mr. Graves and all of us. So it's time for us to shift the gears and start working on the facilities funding, because it's gonna be first come, first serve at the state. So we're just gonna be the first ones who are ready to submit a plan. We're just gonna work on the 10-year plan, and at the same time, we're gonna work on the critical maintenance priorities. You know, what's the first on the list? And that's gonna start as soon as tomorrow.
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. So, and with that said, I think that's it for the budget presentation. Thank you so much, and we can exit and start. I think the next one is the policy one.
Yeah, policies.
This is where everyone leaves.
I just want to really say though, thank you to Elmira, because she has spent
Yes.
hours and
Yes.
hours and hours. But even to her husband on Friday said, Elmira, I'll take you to a nursery, you buy any tree or plant. It was because he's seen, you know, the long hours that she's put in and everything she's done, so she got some new plants. So anyway, thank you, Elmira.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody.
Thank you to everybody.
Yes. Hard decision.
Yeah, and my name's gotta go on those budget cuts, because that was my motion.
Well, thank you.
You really could
For
have
putting
gone
your
with
name
mine
out
if you
there.
wanted my name on it.
Put your name out there. Okay.
So I know that I have a bad nickname as Policy King. This is a different way to do this, because these are your policies, literally. So the first one is 262. I flew in a guest to help me. So we do have Jill.
Don't say, we spent
Her
money.
name's on the, no, it was a paper airplane. At the very bottom, her name is on here, so any questions or any, she's gonna jump in and help. But policy 262 combines 4 old policies into one, so I just wouldn't clean it. To do the red, it would've got really confusing, for me even. Chair Nixon, not just for you, because it gets really, yeah, you know how it gets, so. I thought we'd just kind of roll through it and you guys tell me, remember that if it's italicized, that means we have to either decide if we're gonna take it or not. There are some items that we have to fill in where it gives choice.
I think it
You guys
was.
ready?
Yeah, I think it was this one. I did have a.
Do you want to just start at the top and then see if you guys just kind of
I have
Go
some
ahead.
notes, so when you get to the spot, I can, you know.
Yeah.
So first paragraph, did anybody have anything?
I have no changes.
Annual meeting part, watch, this is literally when everyone's gonna leave. Nobody likes to fall asleep.
Way to go.
Annual meetings,
Yeah, I have a, where it says at the first regular meeting after the January 1st, I think it should say, should get rid of directly following an election. Because previously, it's been done every year, and that seems to be more in keeping with what the code says.
Yeah, I like that because there's an election every year, but we do want to do the new thing on January 1st, right?
Yeah, so
I believe
scratch
that language
following.
does come directly from the statute.
Oh, it does?
It's written, you'll
So
find, just as an FYI, I will always follow what the language of the statute says. So if it's written that way, it's written that way to follow the most recent.
Huh. So what do we do on the years we don't? Does that mean I have to be chair for 2 years? Please tell me no.
When I looked it up at the ones that were referenced here, it says the regular meeting in January, and it doesn't say directly following the election. That was what's previously been in our policy, but it doesn't reflect what says on Title 33 in Education, Chapter 5, District Trustees, 33506.
I'm okay with scratching it.
I think it makes more sense, Jill, to scratch that.
I don't have the code section.
usually I
You can
have.
keep going now.
You'll look it up. So we'll jump back there. Regular meetings, this is where we're gonna have to fill in some things. Just for reference, I put what we're doing now. So unless otherwise specified, meeting will be held at the Kuna School District office conference room. That's where we are right now.
I'm fine with that unless you want to change it to that it'll be determined annually at that January meeting. That's what I have in my notes, but.
Say that again.
I mean, he said to specify the location, and I am fine with doing that, or another option would be to just say that we would determine that spot every year annually in January, which is, I think, what we've been doing.
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, but I'm honestly fine with either one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with either one.
Yeah, these are your meetings, so you guys, yeah, I just put them in there just to reference what we're doing.
Okay, so do you want to keep it as is, or do you want to change it? Yes or no?
Keep it as it is.
Keep it as is. We'll just decide every year.
Okay, regular meetings are held at a specific time. I put 6 PM.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys want to determine that annually.
Yeah.
Isn't that what
I
we
think, yeah,
always
determine it
discussed?
annually.
So the meetings are at
Yes.
6:30 and executive sessions are at 6.
Yeah.
6, and
6 or 6:15.
I did want to change it up, but I'm totally free for whatever you guys decide. In the past, we have a new superintendent, and in the past, we had schools come and present. We had a lot of people out here. So I kind of wanted to start the meeting, do that presentation, and then go into executive meeting.
And that'll be if that's what you want on the agenda.
I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but it seems like there's people out here and we're in executive.
Or I mean, what you want.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just saying that was something I wanted to have.
Like if they see the agenda and it says executive session and then the next meeting starts at 6:30, it feels better to like let them
No.
know not to come till 6:30.
Right, and I think when we say that, it's important that we as a board make sure we're out at 6:30, and if we have to go
Yeah.
in, we go in after the meeting, so that we can make sure that we're here for those people that are here on time.
Oh, you mean do the executive session at the end?
If we go more than a half hour.
Oh,
I'm
got
just
it.
trying to
Yeah, I'm fine
help
with
the
that.
people that are here.
Right, I think we do it at 6 and then go from 6 to 6:30. That should be plenty of time.
And
So
then,
do we say the meeting starts at 6
Well, that.
Either way, is that how we say it?
Jill, do we say executive session starts at 6 and regular meeting at 6:30? How would we put that?
You could put executive session at starting at 6 o'clock and regular meeting starting at 6:30.
Okay.
Just to keep people not having to sit.
Yeah, well, there's been times where we only have 15 minutes, so it's been 6:15, but that executive session, I think we can, when we make the agenda, go either 6 or 6:15, depending on how much stuff we have.
Because you're not gonna know.
And we won't know until we do the agenda.
We used to meet at 7 to just.
I'm
anyway.
good, I'm good with 6.
Yeah, let's move,
Seven.
let's keep moving.
Thank you.
Seven's fun.
Okay, keep going.
Specify the day, currently we're the second Tuesday.
Correct, I'm fine with that.
Everything else in regular meeting? Keep moving.
Yep.
Yeah.
Special
Okay.
meetings?
Also fine there.
Or anybody else? Keep going.
Keep going.
Emergency meetings?
Fine with that.
Executive sessions?
Also fine with me.
And since that referenced Idaho code, I'm assuming these are straight from Idaho code, that the matters addressed in executive session. I think Trustee Grant almost read this perfectly today. Final decisions? And these are in regards to executive session. Keep going. Notice an agenda. Prohibition against discussing unidentified subjects. Public participation.
Okay, I have something there. The sentence, I think it's the second sentence in the paragraph, that says the manner in which public comment and requests for agenda items will govern. I just think it needs another word in there. Like will be governed or something like that.
So you're just looking for we will be?
Will be governed.
Yeah, will be governed would be
No,
fine with me.
that doesn't make sense. Are governed. Is included in the rules.
Excuse me, we can't have any talk from the, sorry, that's okay. I'm sure you're just thinking out loud, sorry. It's okay.
Well, in the beginning, when it says items submitted by the board chair or at least 2 board members, does that mean chair and vice chair?
Where are you at?
The very beginning.
Are you on the next one? Where are you?
No, in the board meeting rules and procedures, on the very top.
Are you on policy number 262?
.1.
Oh, we haven't moved on.
We haven't
to
moved
that
there
yet.
yet.
Okay. We're under
We're not there
public
yet.
participation, so.
And
let
we're
me see.
looking at will
The manner
be
in which
governed.
public comment and requests for agenda items
Are governed.
are governed or will be governed.
You guys moved on.
I'm fine with whatever the lawyer says would be appropriate and not,
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever.
just a grammar change is all.
Got it. We got notes taken. I just keep looking at my 2 people are taking notes for me. They make me look good. Board decisions?
And that's why we have them in our lives.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we're where you're at, Kirsty.
Do you want to jump back to
Made
the?
it to 262.
No, we haven't.
We have to make a
Second
motion.
policy, right?
Sorry.
Do you want to go very back to the part that we had a question?
Yes.
Jill was looking up.
I'm going to change that, by the way. Question, the directly following an election.
We are fine to change it.
Good.
There we go.
All right, should I get,
It's in the notes.
So then,
That's the end of.
so every year we will decide a chair and vice
so,
chair.
we need a motion to accept this.
I'll make a motion to accept the policy 262 with for the first reading.
That would be my only question to you guys is this, and then the second, we'll come back in July for second and or you guys can decide to make
With
it.
the updates outlined here.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
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 and I for me.
This one's a touch longer. and it's 262.1. I know trustee Lowe doesn't love the decimal points, but better than a fraction. I don't know if there's any math teachers here. This one does have quite a bit of italicized. Remember, for italicized, we decided we are taking it. So this one, and it's a little
I did
longer.
have some questions about this one too.
So the second sentence, items submitted by the board chair or at least 2 board members, are we saying that the chair and the vice chair will be the ones creating the agenda? Is that what that means?
So you want that very first sentence, because right now the agenda.
Because it's
for the
not
board
3 of
meeting-
us, it's only the chair and the vice chair.
And the board chair. and-
It's the board chair
And the
or
vice chair.
2 other members can put things on the agenda.
So I guess that's
Putting
my
things on the
question,
agenda
Jill.
or creating the
I
agenda?
think the first sentence is about creating the agenda, and then the next one is items submitted.
And I think that's the updated law that has just gone into place starting July 1st. That's what's in keeping with that new law in my
I guess my
understanding.
question is, we have always done the superintendent, the board chair and vice chair.
Correct.
For agenda.
For the very first sentence.
For the
Yes.
very first sentence. And
So
I'm-
you want it to read superintendent, comma, board chair, and
Vice chair,
That's
because I
for the
feel like 2
first
board
sentence.
members should be in there.
Oh, that's fine with me.
And then for the second sentence, items submitted by board chair or at least 2 board members.
Okay, that's different. I was thinking creating
So,
the agenda.
My question to that is, if we're making the agenda, then 2 people out here can also say what they want the agenda, as long as they're in agreement. Is that what that's saying?
Yes.
It's
Okay,
saying
and
that
that
2
is-
board members can submit.
Something to be put on the agenda
Agenda.
prior to the meeting.
Why is it only 2? I'm just curious. What if like each of us has something
Let's
they
make
want
it
on the
3.
agenda? I'm just saying, like, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's what the law says now, like, it's a way for board members to get something on the agenda, like, for instance, if Kirsty and I want something on the agenda and Kim does not, and we both wanna put it on the agenda, we can submit it and she has to put it on the agenda.
Okay, so like if you had
That's the way
something
I
and
read
Michael
it.
had something and
That's the
I
way
had something, we could still all
That's the way I
three-
read it.
Yeah,
Okay, so either way, all 3 of us could if we wanted to.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Okay, just
It-
making
To
sure.
me, that's new. I've never seen that before, Jill.
yeah, and I think it
Okay.
is new.
Is
Jill,
that-
is that, yeah, do you speak to that, just, yeah, so that's,
The
The 2
that has been in there for a while now. I don't think that was changed this year.
Well,
Remember
I
the
don't
trick
think
of us
any of
is
us
sometimes
knew
we don't
about that.
update. We weren't updating as often, so it may not have been on ours.
Oh, right, yeah, no, I
Okay.
don't think that has changed recently. And I always forget exactly which section of the law that's in, but I think that's been that way for a while.
Okay.
That's what I needed to know.
So the first sentence, we will add vice chair, so there's 3
Okay.
people.
Can we do what we want with that, or does it have to be this? Like, can we change that to?
Typically, I think our practice has been the board chair and vice chair has met with the superintendent, so I don't know why we couldn't.
Yeah, and that part is
continue
really
that.
left up to your discretion. I think it's been done that way.
I don't know if it matters.
I mean, I'm fine with doing this for the first reading and we'll do some research and come back for another time, for the next reading.
So the one thing we said was scratch the and comma
The
board
vice
chair.
chair.
Yes, that way there's 2 trustees and they're
There's some
creating.
decisions we have to make in the meat of this, though.
Well, I read on the back of it that the italics in the text is optional. Does it mean whether we italics or not, or the actual words are optional?
All of that language is optional. So with the new legislation this year that requires the rules of procedure, all of that language is optional in terms of how specifically you want your procedures to look like, because the legislature left it up to each school district to make that decision. So yes, the words themselves are optional.
I mean, when I read through the italics part, I really felt like it was not needed.
Has this ever been in there before?
Throughout the policy.
Remember, this is combining 5 into 1.
I don't think we've ever had a situation where that's happened before.
We do need to make such requests have to be into the superintendent 5 or 7 days prior to the scheduled board meeting.
The italics.
Right, but
Or that could be another period of time.
Yeah.
So it could be something we research and come back with, reading 2, is that what you're saying?
I would take out, just leave 5 or 7. I don't think we need to say or 7. I'd say 5. Leave it
I
at that,
thought
or
five.
seven?
I
Five?
thought 5 was good myself.
Yeah. Take out
I'm
the
fine with
for
5.
seven.
And then do we need the
Trustee
whole
Wilson?
italics?
I think they're trying to get to you so in case a guy from Texas wanted to put something on our agenda,
Well, yeah, and,
like you gotta say your name, I just picked Texas.
But we can say no anyway, right?
yeah.
Like
It's-
our board chair can say no, even if it's not outlined here, to a guy from Texas.
Well,
But what if
I-
it's,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry. I think part of the intent of the legislature, though, was that you would have a procedure in place that specifies, so anybody coming that wants to testify or wants to put something on the agenda, that they would know, okay, I have to have it in writing, I have to have my name and my address and who it is that can speak and, you know, all of those kinds of things. So I think some detail is important so that you're letting people know, because you are required to have some procedures in place by this new law that goes into effect on July 1st.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with this italic section with the 30 minutes inserted time, the 48 hours that's inserted there. I don't like the last sentence that says the decision as to placement of a requested item on the agenda is final. I think we should strike that.
Is that part of the law?
No, it's in italics, so it doesn't have to be put on there.
I don't care.
So in other words, we're saying that anybody from the community can add things to the agenda,
No, we can
No.
veto.
A request can be
They have to
submitted.
make a
as long as it's
request.
with 5 days, and then we have the opportunity
You say
to-
yes or no.
Okay, then I'm fine. I just could see that taking a lot of extra time, so, okay.
So the reasons why we could decline it would be that the request was received less than the 5
5 days.
days,
Mhm.
or would extend the meeting by 30
Yeah, we
minutes.
can
30
make sure
minutes.
From this part, where it says 5 as well. It's
Mhm.
5.
Yeah. Or not directly related to district business, or the item can properly be heard under another agenda item.
Correct.
Individuals who are not residents of the district may request the addition of the agenda item that directly relates, blah, 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 and then within, do we want 48 hours there? A written request
Yeah,
is
that-
received, then we'll respond within 48 hours.
Is that something you feel we
That's
can do?
fine.
I think we could do that from Thursday.
Yeah.
And then I-
We can do it.
Yeah, we can do anything, we just finished a budget.
That's like my nickname.
I'm all about
Designate.
being punctual and trying to see
Yeah.
the time, and I'm not saying that I'm just saying the 30-minute thing, change that to 20 minutes. But we can still allow it. I'm just saying, if it's gonna take more than 20 minutes, then maybe it's something to push on.
I mean, I don't even have any idea how you note
Or
how
maybe-
long that's gonna take, so maybe we should just remove that entire section.
Or maybe-
Like adding the requested item would cause the meeting to be extended by more than, can we just take that out?
I think we need it in there, because you get some crazies that are trying to put stuff on the agenda, and it's happened to me all the time. And
That's
so
what I'm afraid
I
of.
want something in there that I can use.
This can't go on the agenda because it'll increase the length.
Well, like, how
Yeah.
are you gonna tell them that, I'm sorry, that's gonna take us more than 20 minutes to talk about? Like, who gets to decide that, just our board chair?
No.
I just-
I'd like to, I just think
want
it's
more
really
ability
ambiguous.
to censor what, like,
And
I've
I
had
would like
some,
more ability for people to talk and be here and be heard.
well, they can, that's what
Through
delegations
delegations
are
are
for.
for.
I think it's just holding people accountable. Instead of taking an hour, you have this X amount of time to talk.
Yeah, and I'm fine with whatever
all
minutes,
that
because
it
I think
is.
it's hard to judge, so it doesn't really matter.
So,
20, 30, whatever.
It would be left up, I guess, to the board chair to make an estimate.
Yeah.
of whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
I would say 10 minutes.
Do I hear 5?
Maybe if we keep talking about it.
No, I think if
I'm
they're
fine with
asking-
20.
Yeah,
I'm
if
fine
they're
with 20.
requesting, I'm fine with 20, and if they actually need another extra 5
I heard 20, and then Porter, will you roll on to regular meeting agenda?
Well, I'd like to get
Oh,
rid
sorry.
of the last sentence in there, the decision as to placement of a requested item on the agenda is final. I don't think
We've
that's.
moved stuff around before.
And what's your reasoning on that? I just need
Because
to-
I think we should be able to revisit it if it's something we decide we want to hear later.
Oh, I thought that was just
Where
where
I
it
looked at
is
it
on
different.
the agenda.
Like if it's 5th or 10th of the agenda.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
that's
talking
what I
about the
thought.
placement
Yeah.
is
Yes.
final?
Yeah.
I don't know if that is.
Is
What
it,
does that
Jill?
mean, Joe?
The decision as to
She
place
said
that
no.
request item on the agenda is final, where we put it.
Well, I was thinking that if you decide that you don't want it to be placed on the
Oh, and
agenda
then they
because
ask
the person
again,
is not
ask
from
again,
Idaho
ask
or from the
again.
district or whatever, then that decision would be final.
But if they
And
like,
again, even, like,
But then it's redundant if that's the way it is, because we've already said that they can't.
but if they come back and say, well, these are the reasons why, and you wanna adjust your, you know,
Just like if they
decision.
wanna make a second request or a third request.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like you should have some way to like reconsider your decision.
I think the board chair, vice chair too.
I don't think so. Once you've made the decision, it's final, according to this.
Once we made the decision that you could either be on the agenda or not, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I guess I
But
don't
for-
read it
but-
that way.
Yeah, but for that month, you could do it the next month.
No, that's not what it says though.
But then you have the freedom to change that if you want
you
Or
could put a time
6
limit,
months,
like you could
or
say the, instead of
1
saying
year.
that, you could say the same item, the same agenda item request may not be made more than, you know.
You could just say the decision as to placement of requested item on the agenda is final for that month, I guess. So you could get it on the agenda the next month. Let's say if your agenda's too long, then you put it on to another month. Or if if we have something that's addressing that in the coming months, then you could put it on to that month.
I mean, I would just like to see the sentence go. That's my
Yeah.
suggestion.
I'm fine either way.
Yeah, I don't care.
How do you feel, Michael? You okay with it?
I'm good with it gone.
Okay.
That's fine. Just
So
strike
let's
it.
take it out.
Regular meeting agendas?
Isn't that the law?
Special meeting agendas?
That's the law.
Amending agendas? We keep going. Order.
I think that's all law.
2, 3.
I only have something for the consent agenda next, so.
That's where I was at.
Action items? Good. Go ahead and keep rolling. Negotiation meeting notices?
Let's just move to the consent.
Right on.
I think everything's law.
Consent agenda.
Yeah, I like the way it says this. The agenda is encouraged to give advance notice in a timely manner to the board chair or the superintendent. I agree with it.
So is it generally, like, is it policy usually to encourage? Like, is that a good way to write a policy, is to have an encouragement, or is that just like, it's a nice idea? Because it doesn't really seem like we're following it or we're not following it.
Well, I think we are following, because we're encouraged to give advance notice in a timely manner to the board chair or the superintendent when we want to pull something from the consent agenda.
Encouraged to me means not required.
Well,
It's not required.
it's not
Yeah.
required at this time, it's encouraged.
Right.
And I
Okay.
think that's just, I think it's just proper etiquette to let them know that we want to pull something and give them a chance to know why, and, because the consent agenda is to expedite business at a board meeting.
But sometimes there's things in there that really shouldn't be in there, so I think that as a member, we have the opportunity and the right to remove something as needed without telling anyone.
Yeah, so I'm fine to leave it in there, I just wasn't, it's unclear to me, but.
Well, I think, if you want to change it, that's fine. I think encourage means that it's just a nice thing to do to our administrators, to give them time to take a look at maybe questions you have, because it is the consent agenda. I think it's fine to pull it out, but I like the idea of it saying, give notice to either the board chair or the superintendent, so they have a understanding that why you're going to do that, or that questions you may have. But do you feel that you should take the word encouraged out, Hillary?
I'm okay with it, I just don't think it really means anything. it's just I'm fine leaving it in. The change that I have was, in the sentence, the remaining. It seems like if we cross out the remaining, then it's, and start the sentence with items on the consent agenda, because it's once we've pulled the item off the consent agenda, it's not there anymore. But if we don't pull something off, then we don't need to worry about the remaining, so. So the whole policy is about the consent agenda, so can we just make it items on the consent agenda will be voted on?
I think in this case, it makes sense to me that the remaining items versus the one that you pulled out will be voted on by a single motion. That's what we did tonight. We pulled something out and with a single motion, we voted on the rest of the consent agenda. And
Right,
passed
so
it.
what's the policy if you don't, then it's still just the remaining items? If you don't pull anything off of it, then.
Oh, so you're saying the remaining items? I think this has to do.
I think it should just say items on the consent agenda, because when you pull something off, it's no longer on the consent agenda.
You're right. Except I do believe that what they're saying is when you pull something from the consent agenda, because it's encouraged, then the remaining items, it talks about the remaining items.
But if
would
it's
be
not
next.
required, should it even be in the policy? It just doesn't make sense. Like, why are we encouraging something that's not required?
Because I think it's nice etiquette. And I think it just.
But it's a policy, it should be what's required, what we're doing in laws, it's not an encouragement policy.
We can make
And
it
I do agree
required.
with that, and I don't wanna make it required.
And I don't want to make it required. As a board member, we have the right and opportunity to remove things from the consent agenda as needed.
I just think that you do have that right, but I think it is nice to say you're encouraged.
I'm not saying it's not nice, it's just not required from a board member.
You're right.
So if a board member wants to do it on their own time, by all means, feel free. But it's not required and it should not be in the policy. So I think it should be removed.
I would agree with that.
And then we just,
I think that it should be there because.
and then you just
think-
change it so the items on the consent agenda will be voted on by a single motion.
Correct,
And then
yeah.
you could add on whatever is needed. You could change the verbiage.
I don't really see the big deal about it, but.
I
He agrees
think,
with me
can
then.
I just ask, put you on the spot, Mr.
Sure.
Graves? What do you think if we just pull things and don't encourage board members to, I'm just putting you on the spot,
I'm gonna have better answers if I know in advance,
okay?
but
So do you like the word encouraged? How do you feel about it?
I love when anyone encourages anyone to always be nice, but at the same time,
Thank you, 2 words, be nice.
I
That's very
don't wanna make-
diplomatic. I'm
I
sorry
don't wanna
I
make
put you on the,
mistakes.
I'm sorry I put you on
Well,
the.
let's.
I don't wanna make mistakes on purpose either, so if there's something that we did wrong or incorrectly, or there's a way we can explain it better, in no way are we trying to hide anything, otherwise we wouldn't put it on the agenda.
Michael, what do you think?
I
What do you wanna do?
I would like to leave that language in there, I understand. I think it should be encouraged to give a notice, but we're not required to. We don't have to, but just remind everybody.
I agree with that.
And I agree with that.
So moving on to minutes, and this is where we get a little more options. I love that you guys are all staying, thank you.
Our TV crews have left.
Yeah.
I really like to see the budget.
Anything in the minutes before it gets italicized?
Like, what's a reasonable amount of time
5 minutes.
to have the meeting minutes out to the public?
I'm kidding.
You have 10 minutes after the meeting.
You've been here since 10 o'clock.
Like, what do we have now? What's the policy now?
The
answer
the
one.
next day? Is it the
It's
next day?
within it's a reasonable amount of time, so within the next day.
Yeah.
Does the Idaho Code have something to say about that, Jill?
Reasonable amount of time.
Is that all it says?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm
Sounds
okay
good.
with
So
that.
that's
I can tell
literally
you that
straight
30
from-
days is generally not reasonable, 45 days
Before the
is
next
generally
meeting?
not reasonable. So, but yes, the law itself does say reasonable.
I'm okay with the way you do it. whatever
Yep,
that means.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine.
We like it that way.
Porter, if you scroll down to right here where it says following, this is where we have to either accept it or we can adjust. This is following a meeting of the board, the clerk will put the type.
Is it by law you have to have a designated clerk? Does someone have to be here if you can't?
Yes.
Okay.
That is Idaho code, right?
Yeah, okay. But you can pick a clerk that's not paid or whatever, like, we vote on that every year at the beginning of the year.
Do we vote on someone to take your place if you're not here?
So you can.
You appoint the next person. The superintendent is the one who makes the decision.
You're talking about for the year, not for like July.
Like for July, I was thinking about July.
I was talking about in
Yes.
Okay.
I was
No,
just
you don't
asking.
have to, no, you don't have to make a decision of who's going to be here.
Okay,
next
that-
month.
Like a substitute.
Thank you, that was what that's the way I
We've
read
got
it.
covered.
We'd find the substitute.
No, we
Find
will
a
pick it out of the
substitute.
people that stay for the meeting. So it'll be picked
Thank
out
you,
of
that's
the-
so heartwarming. I love
Looking
it.
at who's making notes.
So under the meeting conduct, sorry, in the italics, it says board members will not utilize electronic communication devices during board meetings. And I just think it should say for any district business, because like I have kids that are traveling or something, and I want to be able to use my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys, so we're accepting that?
Oh,
This-
yeah.
this
Yeah.
account, just,
Sorry, I moved on.
otherwise that committee will get after me. So
Wait,
will you
which one are
scroll
we
down?
on?
Page
Under
3.
meeting conduct is where I'm
Oh.
at. Is that on 4? Sorry, I moved on.
Utilize electronic communication devices during board meetings unless I communicate.
So can we just say, like, specify like that it's for anything to do with the district? Because I think, like, I think we should, I want to use my phone if I need to for my kids, so.
I think that you can just let people know I have my phone out because I'm waiting on my kids versus people thinking you're texting someone in an audience or outside the board meeting, because that is against the law. So you could specify I have my phone out to XYZ.
And so if we just say that we aren't going to use it for any district business, then.
Right, or
it
texting during
specifies
a board
that.
meeting, texting people information and stuff like that.
Like, we won't we won't use it for any reason except for personal reasons, however you want to specify that, but I think it should be outlined.
Yeah.
Because right now it just says that we're not going to use them.
And that part really is to, more so to prevent the board from texting each other so that you're not having a secret meeting. So maybe something like that, the board shall not use their cell phones to communicate with each other during a board meeting.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Will you say it one more time, a little slower?
The board will not use their cell phones or personal covers, so electronic communication devices during a board meeting to communicate with each other.
Or other people in the audience, should we?
Porter, you got that?
With fellow board members.
Yeah, fellow board members.
Or-
Doesn't matter about patrons.
Yeah, I was gonna say patrons, does that need to, are people in the audience because?
Yeah, I think we can still communicate with patrons if
could-
we wanted, but it would be part of the
Public.
public
Public
record.
record.
Yeah.
So
I
you
mean,
I
would
mean,
just-
unless you were having.
It's encouraged not to.
Right, yeah.
That's why I
Because
wondered
there
if
would
we,
be some-
that's exactly what I'm wondering if we should put it in.
There you go. There you go, you wanted to keep it.
But you can do it.
We accept that for Robert's Rules of Order,
There you
correct?
go.
There we go.
Kelly, Deanna, you guys are good?
Gotcha.
Feels good.
Kelly.
Public,
I'm good.
so never volunteer to do this for me.
I'm happy.
Public participation, there's a whole lot of it.
Well, isn't this all by law?
Is this the new law? So I was wondering.
Like, does
Then
the
we
law
have to have a
specify
procedure,
3
right?
minutes?
Yeah, all that stuff in italics is, it's not specified in the law, it's just things that if you wanted to make sure that you have decorum, you have people following rules, not yelling over each other, those kinds of things.
Like, I kind of like what it says in our current board rules about the 3 minutes, that it's 3 minutes, but like if our board chair wants to give a little bit longer to someone, that they can.
Be very careful doing that, because you do that to one person, then you gotta do it to everybody.
I mean, I don't really think that you do you?
I didn't. I'd rather it say 1 minute. I'm kidding.
I just want that to go on the public record.
I do like the 3 minutes. I think that gives people time, and
People all today were really,
I thought it was really good. I thought it moved very nicely.
Th-
and-
3 minutes is a lot of time
Yeah.
to get a point across.
A lot of them didn't even use all their 3 minutes. So I like the idea of 3 minutes.
Yeah, we've only been on this policy for 2 so far.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding us.
So the next section, so we'll keep it at 3 minutes. The yielded time will be pulled for a maximum of 10 minutes for the designated speaker, like if people are like wanting to talk about
I've
the
never
same
seen
thing.
that done.
Yeah.
Isn't this where it talks about that they can
Yield their time
Yeah.
to someone else? So it's 3 minutes plus.
So should it
3
be
minutes plus
9
3
minutes? Because no one's getting 1 more second than 3 minutes, so that doesn't really add up.
Way to go on your math, Hillary.
I can pass 3rd grade.
I only do 3rd or 4th grade, I can do that one.
5 minutes.
Well, not speak together, they can yield their 3 minutes to somebody else.
Up to-
So then they have 6 minutes.
And then they have
I
Or
vote
they can say
9.
up to 9 minutes.
9 minutes, which it makes
Up to
sense
9
to me.
Okay, that makes sense.
9 minutes is good.
5
minutes.
And then in the event that 20 or more speakers express a desire to speak on any given agenda item, the board chair may reduce each individual's time limit or set a maximum available for all speakers.
Do you want that to be
Yikes, do we want
20?
to say 10 or
10.
something?
Or 7.
You're getting like Jake. I
I
like
said today we
I-
set the 2.
I like 10.
I think 10.
I like 10.
20 is a little much.
20 is a lot.
We had
We had about, let's see how many
30
we had
or
tonight.
40 at.
But it's all on the same topic. It's
Yeah, just the same
20 on the
Yeah,
same
we
topic.
only,
Yeah,
yeah, I was
we
saying,
did.
I
Yeah.
think 10. We only had 6 tonight.
It's not gonna happen unless there's
And they were
another.
mostly different topics too.
They were-
It did happen.
Yes,
but-
right.
But they combined
Yeah.
their.
Keep going, you guys are good with
Yeah.
the rest
Well,
of
I
that,
can
the
deal with
public
that.
guidelines?
And I liked the other parts too. The board chair can terminate.
Yeah, I was fine with all the
I
rest of
like
it.
Yeah, I was good with that.
I make a motion that we approve policy 262.1 with the corrections.
Do we have a second?
A
The
second.
first reading.
And as we clean this up, if there's things that look, you obviously get to see, but for a second, we will know anything that, like, hey, we might have missed this one, so we clean this up.
Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, Kirsty.
Aye.
Michael. JD.
Aye.
Aye.
And I. No, we're on the good of the order. You're really going right along here, aren't you, really? I do have something to add to the good of the order. These were given to us, thank yous for service to our schools, since this is Idaho School Board Month, and they were brought to us by Kuna Middle School. So thank you for those people who signed those cards. And also, we have some board webinars. And June 12th, which is coming up tomorrow, we have a Leadership Institute in West Ada at the Sawtooth Boardroom in Meridian. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
And second? And
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Aye.
And I for me. Ah, and that is the end.